Hello, I am Deb Coviello, the Drop-In CEO, and I'm grateful you've joined us for another episode of the podcast where week after week I have the distinct honor of getting to know amazing people, amazing leaders who share their insights and inspiration with you. And just know we put out this content because we just want to help C-suite leaders, leaders of tomorrow, to be able to take their gifts and navigate challenges and opportunities with confidence. And today it is my distinct pleasure and thank you to the network, Mariana Kinney, introducing me to Steve Ramona, a unique super connector who builds partnerships and joint ventures. His track record speaks volumes about the value he brings to each connection. He has a podcast, Doing Business with a Servant Heart, with an audience of over 40,000 people per episode. Kudos to you. He also has a TV show, Together We Serve, which has over 1.2 million monthly audience and 9 million viewers on the TV channel. I am so grateful to know this person who is in service to others. Steve, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be on. Listen to a couple of your podcasts, and you get the servant heart, definitely.
So grateful again. And to my listeners, oh my, you're probably going to say, is that Deb talking? Is that Steve talking? We're going to be singing to the same song sheet. We're here to make a living. We're here to make an impact. We just want to be able to form connections. We want to be able to shine a light on people's gifts and be able to give them the opportunity to do more of what they want to do, whether it's purposeful work, spending more time with family and community. It's our insights and lessons that we want you to take note of. But I am again grateful, Steve, that you're here with us today. And I would love for you just to share a bit about your story, learn about you personally, and how have you arrived at the work you're doing now.
Thank you very much, Deb. 18 years old, just got out of high school, going to community college, going to play football or try out, and I had to have a job. My family launched a health club, a racquetball club, health club, and my cousin, who was the president, Jeff, he said, "Why don't you come work for me in the summer, make some money while you're going out to the beach and doing your thing?" And so I started working the front desk. And one of our philosophies is customer service, serving our customers. And one thing he taught me right away is everybody's name should be spoken as they walk through the door. But Jeff, there's thousands of people walk in. How do I remember? He goes, just look at the computer screen and cheat. It's not really cheating, but when they slide their card in, go, "Hey, Deb, welcome. Have a good workout. You know, any questions, let me know." And you do that hundreds of times a day. What happens? You build relationships. Now, remember, I'm 18. There's 40, 50, 60-year-olds. Some of these gentlemen making millions of dollars a year just asking me to lunch, giving me tips, talking to me, and building a great relationship. And one story is fantastic. Tony's a little Italian guy who's a financial advisor for very high-end, successful people. He came in one day and throws a book at me. He used to call me kid. "Hey, kid, I want you to read this book. Next week, I'm going to come ask you about it." I said, "Sure, Tony." And I did read the book and came in the next Tuesday and, "Hey, Tony, have a great workout." He goes, "Oh, hold on. Did you read the book?" I said, "Yeah, I did." So what it said was save 10%. It's called The Wealthy Barber, by the way. It says save 10% of your income to some vehicle and don't touch it. Let it go for years. That is your savings. That's true savings. And, you know, at the time it was 1980. I think I was making $4 or $5 an hour. So was I, I'm making 300 or 400 a month. So I was taking $30, $40. I was putting it away. Years go by. Tony had left the club. We'd built a beautiful relationship. Actually, I think we had a couple times. And I happened to look at the account. I was 28 years old. I had $68,000 in it. That's the face I did. If you probably saw me, that's the exact face I said. So I still had Tony's number, and I called Tony. I said, "Tony, thank you so much. I want to give you an update. I have $68,000 as an account. I want to give you $1,000 because that was your job." He said, "No, no, 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 no." I said, "Tony, that you gave me financial advice tip. I couldn't pay you then, but now I could pay you a part of that." He goes, "No, here's why I did that. Most of my clients would not listen to some of the advice I give, and that was their choice. And they lost millions of dollars. You happen to listen to me, take action. That's my reward." I said, "Tony, well, how did that reward you?" He goes, "A billionaire may have came to my office, opportunity, something happened because the universe said, you took care of Steve at no cost, just from your heart, as a servant's heart. You probably made me where I am today, part of the reason. And we got off the phone, and Deb, my mind blew. 28 years old, it's like, give your stuff away. It will take care of you. He wasn't homeless. He wasn't broke. He was successful because he did that through his whole life. And so I started taking that on. With that was building a network. Now, when you're with the club for 22 years, you're meeting lots of people. I probably met 50,000 people in 22 years. And a quick funny story, some guy walked up to me in like 25, 26. He goes, dude, you're in big trouble. I'm like, why am I in trouble? So many people. If you ever get married, you have to rent the Major League Baseball stadium to fit all those people at your wedding. I'd step back and go, oh, I guess he's right. Because I'd go out to dinner. Hey, there's Steve from Royal Courts. Again, building those relationships will build your network. Your network is your net worth. Isn't that beautiful? But what I learned too is when I left the club and started a restaurant with a friend of mine, he owned it. Within months, we were the #1 restaurant. Because what did I do? I went to my health club network and said, guys, I'm here at this restaurant. I'm cooking. I'm waiting. Come see me. We were packed because I had built a beautiful relationship, made friends, business friends, and they're more than welcome to come. And my family and friends as well. I started another opportunity. I took my restaurant network. I took my health club network. Said, hey, I've started this recycling company. I had 6 figures in my bank account in 3 months. I was like blown away. A business owner with 150,000 in the bank because I took care of people and built a network.
I, I'm shaking my head here. For those of you that'll catch this on the YouTube channel, I'm shaking my head because, sometimes as an entrepreneur, business owner, I did learn, like when I left corporate, I didn't have a big external network. I only had a very good internal network. The only way I was going to make a difference in this world was starting to meet people and get out of my comfort zone. I'm a talker, but new people, I'm a little bit more reserved. I'm now not that way. But one of the things that I became firmly affirmed in was I've got to build relationships, got to build relationships. Don't necessarily go for that quick thing. Like, what am I going to get out of this? Because I'll tell you, those first few clients I had walking in the door were not necessarily the first degree connections of people that I knew, but it was those second degrees or those people that remembered me from 3, 5, 10 years ago that saw what I was doing and referred me. So, long story short, you and I here today building a great conversation for our listeners. You never know where this may be, or that person that has known me for 5 or 7 years remembers me and now is ready to say, you know what? I want to collaborate with Ted. So investing so much in the network, one could say it's foolish. How do you run a business that way? But you have just shared a story where it's not about the business, but it's about the relationship. The business will come.
Audience, we're in the people asset business. Assets and finances. People are out there know your stock goes up. It's a positive asset. It dropped. People are the same. I'm not bringing people down to an asset, but we all need people. Deb, you need them. I need them to run our business, whether employee, partners, boards, customers, prospects, or even competitors. So you treat your asset well, like you do in finances. You treat your people assets well by building relationships and bringing them value. Like, here's a way to do it. Right off the bat, I love your background. When I first stepped on this Zoom, that background's beautiful. The colors, it's caught my eye. Say things like that. What I did is I just brought you value. Maybe it's a 5-second value, 5-minute, 5-week, 5-month. That doesn't matter. But always having the law of increase in the top of your head, of your mindset, which comes from chapter 4 of Think and Grow Rich. I read that. I'm like, this is it. Game changer for me. And it's so much fun because I call this your Christmas gift. Audience, think about when you're 6, 7, or 8, Christmas Day comes. You get up earlier than you've ever gotten up, maybe 6 or 7, because you want to beat your parents to the tree. What do? You run, find the biggest present, you open it up, and you go, I just got a bike. And you're so excited, you jump on the bike, right? But we also forget that we're also doing a gift exchange. Because as a child, I probably gave my brother or my sister or my mom and dad a gift. That's what a servant's heart, bringing value, is in business. If you think from that mindset, I'm bringing gifts and bringing joy, it's so much fun to do.
But I got a counter question because
Sure.
then when you start listening to the sales and marketing gurus, again, I come from an operations manufacturing experience, background where the work was always there. Become a business owner, I have to find people that I can serve. And so I always have to be sales and marketing minded and giving it away. I've struggled with this. I give away my knowledge. I give away my value. Sometimes I tell people how I do what I do, but obviously they might need me. But then a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you only should be giving them 15 minutes because then you want to get them on a call where you want to be able to present an offer. Otherwise, you don't want to give any more of your time." And I'm like, should I be listening to what those salespeople say in order to move people along my funnel, in order to get them to say yes to an offer? Or I still firmly believe I just want to provide value. I don't want to be stupid and taken advantage of, but I just want to give it away because I want to be top of mind. Now, what say you to those gurus versus giving away your knowledge?
I took a sales coaching program for 18 months and I learned some things about sales. And we are eventually going to have a transaction with somebody.
Yeah.
So you need to have some of those skills. But do you want to be transformational or do you want to be transactional? And I'll use this story. Audience, you pitch 10 people, they buy your product or service right away. You've not built any relationship. Yeah, okay, I'll buy it. We've all done it. We bought something because we were pushed, aggressive, whatever that may be. How long do they stay as a customer and how many referrals do you get? Or I build my relationship with 5 people and they buy a month later. But instead of staying for 6 months, they stay with me for 3 years, continue paying. But how many referrals am I going to get for them? So we can't think short term. We have to think long term in the sales cycle because it lasts longer. I could sell 1,000 people tomorrow a $5 program, maybe $5,000. But what happens in September? Do I lose 900 of those people and I'm only making $500 now? And I got to keep filling that funnel with transactions. Go
Hmm.
out and transform people, build relationships. Eventually, they're going to buy because they love Deb. They love her attitude. They love her experience and they love her product or service. It's a package deal.
The
Maya
same,
Angelou
yeah.
quote, I forget the Maya Angelou quote, but it talks about more, you know, they've got to like you to really stay with you. You could sell like crazy. And I know people do. We all get pitched on LinkedIn, Facebook, and crypto and lead. Yeah, you roll your eyes. I see them all the time. And I ask them, how many clients do you have? Well, I have a couple. How many people have you talked to today? 100. So you've had a couple in a month. You talked to 2,000 people and you've got 2 clients. Is that going to pay your bills? And all that time you did? And here's the thing we forget. All those relationships that you burned. I hate to use that word, but it's true. I've had guys and they've come back a month later and said, I will never work with you. The way you came to me in the beginning or those first 30 seconds, they say. And here's the other thing. If you're out there pitching and it's a $500 program, why would somebody want to give you $500 if we don't know them? That's kind of a lot of money, or 5,000 or 50,000 or 100,000. We know $100,000 sales take a long life cycle because they have to get to know you. You have to build that relationship.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. And, while we are talking a bit about entrepreneurship, owning your own business, the same goes for what you're in a corporate setting, in a company where it still is about building those relationships. Let's just say you create a report and you send it to the next person who does another report and then contacts the customer. It's important to break down some of those silos, understand their point of view. So if maybe they don't respond to that email that you sent them, don't all of a sudden start firing off those emails. Best to form a relationship and realize that person is swamped over there. They're maybe using an archaic platform. How could you help them to do their job easier? So the next time when your email pops up or the phone pops up, they're more than likely to pick up the phone. So whatever Steve is saying is also critical in service to your colleagues in a company. Invest in those relationships.
That's so brilliant, Deb. Brilliant. The way you said that. And let's extrapolate that.
Sure.
Let's take a sales team. Say you got 10 people in your sales team. I'm the owner. Well, one salesperson, they're competing, they think, because, hey, I got to get more sales than you. No, collaborate. And here's an example. I talked to 2 sales guys and they're like, and I didn't charge them for this. because I don't, I charge, but I believe you give your stuff away free, it will come back to the universe. So we're like, hey, this guy asked me for some tips, and I'm not going to give him tips because he'll make more sales than me. I said, your mindset's got to change. Collaborate. Give all your free advice because here's what happens. And it's happened to me. The universe goes, you know what, Joe? You took care of Tony. You helped him with his sales. I'm going to give you some calls you never thought happened. Or you might make a phone call and make a great presentation. The problem with people is it's not tangible. We don't know how, when, or where the universe is going to take care of us. So we do this sit back and go, I'm FOMO, or I'm fearing, I got to make money. There's ways to make money. There's ways to serve. Keep that mindset of bringing value and serving in, even on the sales team. And guess what? When he did that, the other salespeople came talking to him, asking him advice, and he was freely giving it to them. Top sales guy in 3 months.
You and I are just going back and forth here. Eventually, we're going to get to a few more questions here. But what's really cool about this also is it falls so much in line with one of the things I see in corporations is leaders, chase results, but they should be in pursuit of peace of mind and outcomes. And, you may get the results and high five your team for great work. We made our sales numbers, only to maybe fall off the wagon. The next quarter is not so good. You beat the people into getting the results again, and you're on this awful roller coaster for which you have played the short game. And when I say to leaders, you should be in pursuit of peace of mind, what are those things and those gaps and those leading indicators of things you should focus on? And it's more about the people development, giving them the confidence and capability because you care about them. They know their jobs, but there are other humanistic things standing in the way. When we ask people, how can we achieve this greater outcome or purpose, people come with their minds versus just being a transaction. So again, patience. Discipline as a leader. If you're a turnaround person and stakeholders are saying, where are the results? Be strong, be courageous, and say, let's let the process work, because ultimately you're going to get sustainable results. And so that's why investing in the, not in the transaction, but the long game and in people.
That's,
So
I'm going to use that in my next keynote speak. That's perfect.
hey, I'm sharing it. The more we can get the word out, the better.
Amen. Servant's heart you have.
So ABS. What is ABS? Because I'm curious about that. I think there's things that people should start adopting this language. So ABS, what is that?
I give credit. I got to remember his name, her name, and I'll remember it eventually here. A guest on my podcast, we were talking about ABS stands for always be serving. But what's the acronym? ABS. Well, as you remember, I told a story about the health club. You can work your abs every day. Other muscles you got to do every day, give rest. But you can work those abs every day. So always be serving every day. And not just professionally, but personally. Because universe, and I believe in God and God too, will go, you go to a grocery store and you go, hey, that's a beautiful baby. What a beautiful bow she has. What's her name? And you walk away. I just edified and brought value, but more so joy from a servant's heart. I don't know what she's walked into that day. It might have been a bad day for her, but I uplifted her for maybe a few minutes. That's powerful. And I'll give you a story. I believe when you're having a bad day, appointments are canceling, contracts didn't get signed, things you thought would happen don't. We all have those days. So I had that day and I left my home office at 2:00, and I usually do that, kind of fight through it, my Italian mentality. You shouldn't do that. So I went to the grocery store to get some groceries, and there's a lady in front of me. She had a baby in her arms, and I didn't think of it, but I had this calling to go pay for her groceries. You've heard people that do the Starbucks and I'll pay their coffee. It's really cool. And that's another great way of serving. And so this was a long hair, it looked like a surfer. I'm in California. So I'm like, hey, his name was Jay, because I had a name. He's Jay, can you do me a favor? Take my credit card and can you pay for her groceries? And he's like, dude, nobody does that. Dude, what are you doing? I said, just go ahead and do it. She was like, no, you don't need to do it. I said, no, it's just a calling I had. So I did, paid for my groceries, and I walk out with her with the baby, and she tears up. And I found her name was Debbie. And I said, Debbie, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to upset you. She goes, no, 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 no. No, you didn't upset me on. These are tears of joy because my husband lost his job last week and we didn't know how we were going to pay for these groceries. and you came in as a stranger. I didn't know the shoes she was walking in. I didn't do it because I didn't know. But this is the value of abs, ABS. I served her because I had this calling. But taking it farther, Deb, what do you think she did when she went home and talked to her husband? Drops the groceries down. I'm sure, hey, husband, I met this guy, Steve. He bought our groceries today. What? Yeah, he just said he had the calling. So what are they going to do? They're going to ABS. Who are they going to serve? Because now I've changed their mindset. Given here, given there. This is the power of bringing value to people. They learn this. They want to do it. Back to Christmas gifts. We get gifts, especially as adults. We have Christmas exchanges, all that. It's the same thing. If you think of it as a gift, your mindset will be blown up.
Couple of places to go, but I want to just counter with another story. I had just been kicked out of the nest before I'd even started my business, and I had a little time on my hands running some errands. I go to a home improvement store because we had just ordered some lighting and had to go in the back to meet with the employee to kind of find my order. And I saw them having a rough time with another customer. And I think that other customer, from what I could see, was kind of treating them poorly. And I could see his body language, and that customer went on their way dissatisfied. And I see the pain in this person's body language. And I realized this was a moment. So I kind of chit chatted with them. How are you feeling? Told them how I appreciated them helping me to find my thing. And we just kind of started talking about personal things. And in that moment, I had time on my hands, but I also was present. And for a moment, I may have changed the trajectory of that person's day, maybe from being just awful to getting it back to, okay, life is okay. So I really appreciate that. But another thing crosses my mind, which, you know, I think I'm a patient person, but sometimes you just say, when is the universe going to give back? Now, for me personally, and I'm going to ask you a question about having the courage to be patient, is I'm first of all, I'm grateful. I have everything that I need. I got a roof over my home. I'm financially secure, which wasn't always the case. I got a great family, but I am seeking to reach more people. I am seeking transformation and transaction, but it seems like it's such a long game. And I believe in the work that I'm doing. I'm a patient person just like you. But what do you say to the person that wants to practice ABS and at some point wants to see a reward for it and is still not seeing it? What would you say to them?
More people you meet, the more opportunities for universe to give you more, first of all.
Okay.
So I don't like numbers game, but yeah, meet more people. I mentor businesses all the time, entrepreneurs, and tell them meet 10 to 15 new people every week. That's your goal. That's your goal. If
Sounds
you
so
hit it, hit it.
transactional. It's transactional though.
It is transactional, but what
Okay.
happens is this. So
Okay.
you meet 10 people next week, you bring them value, you ABS, you work with them. Maybe you give them an introduction. I did 1,800 introductions last year. A lot. That's like, I think 400 a month. I don't know the number, close to 300 a month. But I'm always you bring value to all these conversations. You're transforming 10 people. What'll happen is you're going to get introductions or referrals. I like calling them introductions. So say those 10 people give you 10 introductions. So now you're going to meet 20 new people. The next week you meet 11 new people. They give you 10. That's 21. That's 41 new people that you can work with, that you can bring value to, that you can serve. So as the numbers grow, guess what? You're going to meet that person like, hey, Joe Smith, Steve said I needed to meet with you. Let's jump on a call. We jump on a call and he buys my product or service because he met me through somebody else who I brought value to and said, you've got to meet Steve. He's got a big network and he really, really helps people. Well, coming into that conversation, that referral is powerful because I brought them value. I wasn't transactional. I was transformational with every single person. Quick story, January 2020, I became a sales guy for a digital business card right before COVID, so timing was good. But I woke up one day and said, I've got to meet more people. I followed this exact pattern. So I jumped on 20 networking group meetings a week. There's this group that met all over the time. So I scheduled it out and I started scheduling one-on-ones. I met 500 new people in 8.5 weeks. I was the top sales guy in the company. And why? Because every time I meet somebody, I would bring them value. Hey, what do you do, Steve? I'm selling this digital business card. It does this. Oh, that's very interesting. Let me get back to you. But they would introduce me to somebody. Hey, Steve's got this digital business card you need to look at. Hey, Steve's got this digital. Because I brought value, I didn't try to sell them. This is what I offer. This is why I'm excited about it. That is the power of that.
So I so believe in that. But one of the things I found early on, and maybe I had not honed my message or my networking skills, I joined some of those professional networking groups, and it was always make sure you introduce them to 3 additional people. And I met a lot of nice people. A few people came on my podcast. I went on theirs. But at the end of the day, either I wasn't projecting the value that they saw value in or whatever, to the point where I've got all this transactional interactions, but I'm not seeing an ROI. And so I scaled back and I kind of went quiet for a while. But now through podcasting, I invite interesting people that we have deeper conversations. But I guess, what would you say to me or somebody who's been through that networking circle and has not gained a lot from them? What might they do differently to realize the value of super connecting?
That's a great question. I'm not a big fan of networking. I used to run 6 of them, and I'm going to say this publicly. They're a great starting point, like I did in January 2020.
Okay.
But you need to find what your ideal connection is.
My platform, your own platform. Yeah.
Your own platform. If I am selling, well, I do partnerships. So if I meet somebody and they're working Apple 8 to 5, and nothing wrong with that, and they've got a side coaching gig, they help stay-at-home moms. Great idea. I'll give them tons of value, but they don't fit me as a potential transaction. So I know that's not going to be, but I still meet with them because I want the universe to be happy. I still bring them value, but then here's the key.
Yeah.
Shut up, listen, and ask. So I'll have that person tell me, hey, I work 8 to 5. I'm a coach's mom. I'm passionate about it because I'm a mom, and I'll go, April, that's fantastic. I've got this wonderful lady you need to meet. She works with stay-at-home moms as well. I think there's a potential partnership there. She's like, oh my God, that would be great. Then you do the ask, or they ask you, Steve, that is so great. How can I support you? How can I help you? Happens 90% of the time with me. And I go, I'm looking for professional athletes, celebrities, and high income professionals, 5 million or more a year they make. Have that niche down. That's what solves that problem. So you're not getting all these people that don't fit your business. Have an idea who you work with, because this is the tip with networking. We all have a network, some 100, some 100,000. But if I just say I'm looking for people who want to make money, or I'm just looking for a guest for my podcast, it's everybody. So when you give them a specific detail, and I learned from Precious Williams, I believe, she was a guest on my show, one of the top pitch experts in the world, draw an image. And my image I draw with people is, imagine you wake up every day with 3 to 10 referrals for the last 18 months. How does that feel? How does that help you? Oh my God, I just did it yesterday with a guy. He goes, oh my God, that's fantastic. Well, that's what I do. That's what I teach. That's what I mentor. I show you how to do that. Now it's the introductions are more intentional to what you're looking for. I see that across network marketing. Hey, I'm a life insurance agent. I'll make you more money. I've got this great program and this and this and this. That's everybody.
Yeah.
You got it. I do that again.
Yeah,
push
the button. No.
I got to record that. So this is what's changed me. And that's why those 500 people, like I met somebody, they worked at, they're an admin for a real estate office. Well, she's not going to use a digital business card. She doesn't, but she introduced me to the owner. And then 5 realtors bought it.
Yeah.
So intentional value, but what is that person's network? I met a gentleman 8 months ago. He knew the vice president of Google. We never connected, to be honest, but I said, I'd love an introduction. He'd be a great guest on my podcast. Another one, and this is for podcasting, but for everything. Yeah. Lee Steinberg, if anybody remembers the Jerry Maguire movie, this movie was made by his life. He's a sports agent. He's actually Patrick Mahomes' agent, the top quarterback in the world. I reached out on LinkedIn and said, man, I love your story. Would you be on my podcast? The next semester is sure. Reach out to my admin, Andy, and he was on 3 weeks later, and we did a great show. The ask, we are afraid to ask.
What's really beautiful, going back a few moments, was shut up and listen. Because sometimes we just want to go, go, go and share about ourselves and our value. And I've learned that by listening and being patient, the nuggets and gems or the opportunities are there. I just met somebody a couple hours ago and I found them and I thought they were really interesting with what they're doing. But as they're going on, I'm saying, I'm not seeing what the transaction can be, but I'm listening, patient. They're super cool, very interesting. And then it happened at the end. They talked about who they knew, and then I said, that person would provide a lot of value to my professional women's organization. I'd love an introduction to be able to elevate what she does and bring great value to my garden. He said, oh, absolutely. I will make that introduction. And I had to be patient and wait to the end to see what the magic is there. And we go from there. We never know what's going to happen from that one.
Mic drop. That's a big mic drop. And to add to this, I talked a number of introverts or people, I don't like selling. First off, audience, we're selling every day. You sold me to be on here. I sold you as a gay. We're always selling. So that kind of take that out of your mindset. But an introvert, you have such an advantage over me, high energy, is, and it should be ask, shut up, listen, and ask. Because come up with 3 questions when you're meeting a person for the first time. How long have you been doing what you do?
Mm-hmm.
What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
What's your future look like?
Mm-hmm.
Sample questions. Have those sit in front of your computer. I guarantee you, ask, hey, what's your future look like? You'll get this long, drawn out answer, and you'll get so many tidbits. So always be asking questions. And that's why I love you as a podcast host. You do the great questions. I learned that podcasting. It's why I love it. I think everybody should do it because you learn to ask those questions and then shut up and listen.
I got one last question before we start bringing this to a close. How did you get involved in television?
Through my network, my podcast was growing. People were seeing the growth. And Julianne Meyer, wonderful lady, love her to death. Somebody introduced me to her, said, you're so good, you should have your own TV show. And got introduced, fell in love with her, fell in love with the channel. I help now bring value to all our TV hosts. I meet with them one-on-one. It's been another network that I can use to help them and them to help me. Again, it all falls back to my network.
Just time and
Treating people well.
opportunity. Just
Yeah. Time
so
and
you can't
opportunity.
force it, but it's just the right people, right time, right place. Oh, it's inspirational. So, Steve, we could talk on and on. I think we're cut from the same cloth here. I truly enjoy the conversation. I'm sure my listeners have, but I'd love to give you the floor one last time just to share any last thoughts, ways for people to connect with you. But again, it's been an absolute pleasure, Steve.
This has been one of my best shows. I really appreciate you. Don't forget ADS, always be working, work those abs every day. But from the growth side or the scale side as an entrepreneur, business person, or just in your personal life, get better 1% every day. And let's look at it's August 16th. We have 4 months, 3.5 months left in the year. So 1%, let's say it's 5. That's like a 50% increase in growth in your business and yourself. I have a question for you, audience. Would you make more money? Would you grow as a person? And would your business grow? And I put the money in there because we all need money. Money don't, and I used to do this, like I used to say no to a lot of people. I lost millions of dollars. I don't do that anymore because I know when I help people, I'm bringing them value. And if you feel that way, you should be paid for that value. So money, growth in your personal life, and growth in your professional life. Get better 1% every day.
Beautifully said, Steve. I appreciate you dropping in on the podcast. I want to thank you again, wish you well, and much success. Take care.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.